Hello, crafties! How y'all doing? Welcome to SketchCraft, the podcast for art, games, and comic book junkies. Oh my goodness, look, I got it right. It's 3 for 3. We're doing pretty good this week. Joining me to talk about all things games, comics, arts, or whatever would be Brandon, Lead Heavy, Mega Potato, need to unmute the Skype. James, how you doing?
Hi.
Alrighty, also joining tonight is Ashley West from GangFeather.com. Ashley?
Hey!
Hey, there you are. And we have a surprise guest all the way from the depths of Seattle. Is that right? Depths? Bowels? I don't know. What would you call
Something
that?
like that.
All right. Drainage. It rains a lot. Right?
Thanks. Yeah, totally.
It's such a pretty place. How can I shit on it? All right. How you doing? Hey, Mike. Mike's here. Say Magic Mike.
Hey, everyone.
You like your little icon, Mike? You got to wait for it. You got to check it out.
I just noticed that.
Yeah, Magic Mike. Huh? How about them apples? So, welcome to episode 51 of SketchCraft Live, the podcast. We're past the Big 5-0, just in time for the apocalypse, right? So, I figure we get one of these in just before it all goes to shit. Or if it doesn't, hey, we'll be back next week. Perfectly. Lots of stuff to talk about this week in the realm of SketchCraft. I have been up to quite a bit. So right now I'm currently working on commissions. You can see is Batman right here. Ooh, look, 3D folks. Batman, just like an IMAX, right? Working on this right here. I got to color this with Copics this week. It's going to be pretty impressive. Also, I'm this close to having my print and shipping station situation complete, which Mike will appreciate because then I can mail out his stupid rebate, which, thank you, look right there, back there. Oh, you see that? That right there is because that's why Mike's here. See that? What's that, Mike?
Oh, very nice. Very nice.
That's the printer. Look at that. Mike contributed. So I want to give Mike a big round of applause, everybody. Thank you, everybody. Come on, Brandon. Come on. Yay. Thank you, Mike. We really do appreciate it. It broke down. It broke down right in the middle of the stream, right?
Yeah, midstream.
Midstream. So I wish it were
How
mid.
embarrassing.
I know, right? As you get older. So anyhow, that'll be complete, and tons of more Game Cave stuff coming very soon. Just really don't feel like sharing about it right now. Other than that, oh, and I will be starting the next cover for Megavision's issue 2. Issue 1 for Megavision's magazine will be available online, digital only magazine, on November. Ashley, what date?
Woo! 15th!
15th! Also, what else can you find inside the pages of Megavision's magazine?
Toe Jam and Earl interior cover art for the cover story.
By?
Me.
By Ashley West. So, look at
That's
that.
the most excited I've ever heard Ashley on the cast. Look at that.
I'm actually a really excited person. I'm just really intimidated by all of you. So I'm very quiet.
See, Ashley, Brandon isn't around when you're talking about Ratchet and Clank, so that's not true.
I get more excited, trust me.
Oh yeah, that Ratchet and Clank movie is coming out. Holy hell. It's good to know someone was happy for that, and I'm glad to know.
I haven't seen it actually.
The rumors are true.
That's just because I'm really bad about seeing movies until about a year later. Fair
enough.
Oh, yeah.
But Ashley West does have interior artwork for issue 1 and probably issue 2. Ashley, between you and me, I had the conversation, so you're good to go.
Okay, cool.
So,
awesome.
Moving forward, Brandon, what have you been up to?
Just getting busy on reworking on some art and getting better at my lines and perspective. And it's actually paying off a little more because I'm redoing that War Machine and it's looking much more 3D and sharper lines.
Impressive.
Yay.
Ashley, what else have you been up to?
Well, I've been working a little bit on I kind of put the hack slash commish on hold. I mean, I worked on it yesterday, so I'm gonna resume working on it this week. But I was working on my Velthania stuff, and I, I drew something that was kind of provocative, and it was funny because I got a lot of funny comments from it, and so that was interesting. But nobody said anything bad about it. They're just like, I'm afraid to say this, but, and I'm like, yeah, no, it's right. You're right. So it was funny. So that was interesting. Anyway,
Hashtag J. Scott Campbell.
I guess I
Just
don't
thought
know.
we'd intertwine
Yeah,
the
pretty much.
drama.
Except
Right?
his was negative. Mine,
Oh.
nothing was negative. Mine was just people were scared, I think.
Interesting. Interesting. All right. All right. All right. Mike, what have you been up to?
Writing
No one
code in the
cares.
rain.
No one cares. No one cares what Mike's been up to. Writing code, it can't rain all the time. That's what they do in Seattle? They write in the rain. Do you
Yeah,
wear the
we just stare
face
out the window.
makeup too? Do you put on the cure, right, and just start
I
coding
do, and cry sometimes. Yeah.
and cry? Brandon's dream. Alrighty, let's move on to actual topics. We're all updated. Brandon, want to pick it up? Grab a
Sure
topic.
do. So, much to a lot of fanboy and fangirls, Young Justice, the cartoon, is now getting a season 3 finally. If people haven't seen it before, Young Justice is a WB DC cartoon that lasted 2 seasons. It was really well written. I'm going to butcher his last name, so I'll let Rob say it. Phil Barraza? Is
Barumasa?
that Barraza? The white guy.
I don't know.
The
Man.
white lead artist at
The
DC.
white
Usually
guy?
does-
That one white dude?
Well, a lot of lead animators at WB are usually not white. I mean, it's
You know,
true.
Brandon, you're just digging a hole.
No,
Move
I'm
on
saying
with the
I
cartoon
I
information.
follow a lot of people.
Let's
like,
move
like
on.
Copeland.
Okay,
They're-
let's just.
Hey, Mike, you said your laugh is annoying, but I like your laugh. Just saying.
Okay. I said it was obnoxious, but
Obnoxious.
Anyway,
Okay, obnoxious. Either way, I like it. It's funny.
And aptly timed, I believe.
he's the lead. He's the lead usual designer for some of these WB cartoons, and he was on this show. I was saying because I can't pronounce his last name, so I don't want people to think it's like Asian or someone they go to look at. I'm like, oh, I don't know who this guy is. Anyways, point being, assholes, Young Justice 3 is coming out. Season 1 and 2 got put on Netflix, and so many people loved it so much again that they bitched and whined and petitioned until they put out a season 3. So I'm excited for that. I love the
I
show.
knew that
It's
was
got
the only
great
way it was
story
going to
arcs.
happen.
Yeah,
No,
and,
I watched this show too, Brandon, so I'm there
Okay.
with you.
and you like it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and you know, I think boys, girls, everybody
Okay,
likes it.
I'm gonna say compared to like now this is DC and what I'm about to say is Marvel, but compared to Ultimate Spider-Man, whew, much better.
Much better. Oh yeah, definitely. It's got a more
gosh.
mature tone, and stories are more fleshed
Yeah.
out. I mean,
For
one whole story will last, 3 episodes or something. It's not just one and done. So I'm excited. I like all the artists and lead designers that are a part of the show. I don't know all their names perfectly, but there's another guy, Copeland, who I follow, who I like all his stuff too, and he works for Warner Brothers. So I'm excited to see the new art, new everything about it. So yeah, I'm excited. Rob, have you seen it? Do you care? You don't care.
It's animated well. I don't know, man. Look, the DC cartoons are fine, but I watch anime, so like, oh wow, Robin's in trouble again. So, like
Yeah.
I don't really know if you're fans. I think the cartoon does a better job than half the other direct to DVD don't exist in a universe one-shot cartoons. It is interesting that the fan petition was that Netflix would make it, and now it's going to be on Cartoon Network, right?
I haven't checked.
Yeah,
who
you didn't
put
actually
it
do
out,
your
but
good job, Brandon.
I
So if
just
I
didn't
look
check
here,
what network was picking it
W
up.
Animation has more episodes. Production's beginning on the 3rd season. Where's it going to air though? That's what I want to know.
I thought it was going to air on Netflix, but I could be wrong.
No, they didn't say. I thought it was Cartoon Network, but I may be wrong. So it hasn't announced where it's going to be yet. If this is going to be on network television, don't expect much in terms of like it lasting, right?
Yeah.
Because network television cartoons, we've seen how that works out. If it goes,
should be. Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, because people just don't tune in for them, and they get put into weird time slots, and like this cartoon might end up like 9 o'clock on a Sunday. Like they just do weird shit like that. And so, uh, if it goes to Netflix, great. Now, because they have an announcement, I'm almost, this is the cynic in me, but I'm almost afraid it might go to a website. Like it might be if you subscribe to wbanimation.com, then you can get, like, they haven't announced this yet, like where it's going.
They might actually partner up with either my client or Apple TV or one of the other subsidiaries that are doing the OTT internet on-demand television, where you're getting content, TV content over the internet, and because there's a lot of people jumping on board on that, so that might be a thing, because I have Cartoon Network, and they can put any amount of content available now, so you're not waiting to see something.
They would never do this, but wouldn't it be like interesting if it were something that like was teamed up with one of those live action CW shows? Like, you imagine if you
That
got
would
the
be
flat, like, well, because they used
That'd be
to,
cool.
the Batman animated series used to be at night, like Saturday nights at 9. So imagine if you watched like Arrow, and then afterward was a Young Justice cartoon, like, or Supergirl or some shit like that. So,
It'd be a good way to get people to watch it. I mean, just
to start to
make it
push
all
the
superhero night.
cartoons toward the older audience. Because when you
Right.
bring about the Spider-Man cartoon, that was designed for 5-year-olds. I worked on the merchandise. Like, Young Justice isn't designed for 5-year-olds. It's like 13, 14. So, and plus the older audience, like, ourselves, Brandon, you're older than 13.
Sometimes
and and so
physically, not mentally.
it would be nice to see them. It'd be interesting to see them do that, like actually try to push the cartoon for an older audience, and then kids would want to watch it. And then I don't know. So it's not bad news. It's good. It's good to see. It's nice to see that that Netflix is seeming to have the same effect that DVD had on Family Guy. Remember, like, Family Guy was canceled because of the DVD sales. They were forced to bring it back, and then that worked out very
I think
well.
you're thinking of Futurama.
No,
I think
I'm
it
thinking of
was
Family Guy.
both.
Yeah, I'm thinking of Family Guy. It took
It was
Futurama a
both
lot
open.
longer, but good
Yeah,
try, Brandon.
that's true.
Good try. So, all right. So we all agree this is a good thing, and Mike thinks it might go to HBO Go or something like that.
And
No, just any of the. There's going to be 3 or 4 over-the-top services, because everyone is jumping in now, especially Apple, where they're going to offer you TV for $20 a month,
Oh, yeah.
and it's
See,
just
what I
gonna be
don't
TV
want
over
it
the
to be
internet.
is like the CW.com exclusive, kind of like the Star
Hopefully
Trek
it's
show.
not.
The Star Trek show where you got to pay $5 a month to watch
Yeah,
fucking Star
that's not
Trek.
going to last. That's absolutely not going to last with this new format coming out.
So pretty cool. Greg Wiseman's involved, who's pretty. Well, he worked on Spectacular. It's always great. You see Greg Wiseman, and you're like, gargoyles, and then you look down, Spectacular Spider-Man. So, I wonder if Robin will have a sombrero and start doing the machacas. Like. So, interesting. Good times, good times. I'm sure we'll hear about this more next year. It's gonna take a while. All right, next topic. Who's got something? Ashley, you got anything?
Nope.
No, Ashley's got nothing this week. All right, Brandon.
Sorry.
It's all right. Brandon, next.
okay, so Jessica told me about this story the other day that I didn't know, and I thought it was quite interesting. So I figured, why not share it on the cast, because it's comic book related. Um, Jessica being my wife, for the people who haven't listened to this podcast before. So, okay, here's how the story goes. Around 2012, during one of the Phoenix cons, me and my wife, we went to dinner with Jesse James, who owns a comic book store out here in Arizona, and a bunch of artists.
Not the
and
famous
different-
biker.
I was
not the
gonna
famous
say.
biker, no,
Have to
no,
put
no,
that out there.
definitely far from it. I mean, complete opposite almost.
Yeah.
And a bunch of artists, I can't remember top, like Mike DeBalfo, whoever was working with Aspen. Tom was there. I remember
Okay,
that 'cause I sat
go
next
on,
to
go on,
him.
go on, go on.
Okay, so Jessica happened to sit next to Brian Augustin, who's a pretty well-known writer. He wrote on The Flash, Batman, Gotham by Gaslight. Really nice guy, great writer. He wrote Crimson, one of my favorite all-time books ever, comic books.
Okay.
So anyways, Jessica sat next to him, And he told Jessica that in the comic industry, they hire more graphic designers than illustrators because they know more about placement and organizing what needs to be on the page. So after hearing that, I'm kind of curious, since Rob, you've been involved in all aspects of comic book world and design and such. Is this true? And should people wanting to go into the comic book industry take some form of design classes?
You worked very hard on this.
I think it's a good question.
It's a very, very well prepared question, Brandon. Very,
Hey,
very.
I brought 3 things to
You,
the table, man.
if I had a
I'm ready to-
Nestle's Crunch Bar, I'd offer you this Nestle's Crunch Bar. You earned it. Look, man, I've never once shown a portfolio at Comic Con and they asked me if I was a graphic designer. Matter of fact, if you even mention the word graphic design, people take that as slang for copy artist, tracer, dude. You know, graphic artist used to be someone who designed typography, maybe did tattoo work, could transcend into sort of a gallery artist kind of situation, a la Shepard Fairey or Bansky or something like that. Nowadays, it's code for I trace all my art. I trace your art into Illustrator and put my name on it. That's what it means. So I have personally never once shown my art and been asked if I have a graphic design background. I have shown my art and been asked who's your colorist. So I don't know. I get what they're saying. Learning T-shirts when I did 10 plus years ago, it helped me to develop iconography, how to catch someone's eye when they walk into a comic book shop or in the case Walmart to see a shirt. Problem is though, Brandon, maybe he's talking about editors because the editors and Diamond seem to get to be the ones who decide what goes on a cover. Like the artist
Or
is
the
really
logos,
irrelevant.
placement,
Unless you're a big name like a Jim Lee or a Capullo or whatever your name's on it, it's going to fucking move because your name's on it. You're gonna have a committee of non-artists having a fucking opinion over what you put on a cover. You know, so I just did a
Do you
cover
think-
now for a gaming publication, and I had to go through fucking 15 people. And like the eyes need to be 10% smaller. I mean, actually, I just did a comic book cover for a major company where it came back for major publisher. I can't say what because fucking apparently they don't want me mentioning them on the podcast in a negative light. You fans complain, and I love you for it. At Twitter, man, at Twitter. So, anywho, they know my background, and what am I supposed to say? When they tell me to make things 25% smaller and move things over and change these things, what am I supposed to tell them? But you know how many T-shirts I've done, bro? Like,
Right.
like bring the chest out. So I get what he's saying. I think that's more like probably a move for like if we were high-end editors, we'll get a graphic designer who can then art direct and feel like they were a former artist, and then they can tell artists what to do, and then they can say things like, "I was a graphic designer. I speak your language." I could see that kind of bullshit. Of course, that was 4 years ago, right? So, but I could easily see that situation. I've had, where you see editors are like, Rob, I do letter the comic book. I'm like, that's because you're too cheap to hire a letter. Like, gotten that. So I don't know,
Think it's
man.
more of, you think he was more saying it of they look for someone who can multitask and do multiple things, maybe
Like
your own
ink
work
and
just
draw
for-
their own book, so they don't have to pay for
right?
it.
Or
Yeah, I
design,
definitely think.
design buildings and such. Instead
Hey,
of
and
just,
could you sketch up all your shit and then give us your models so we can hand them to the other artists that we're going to replace you with too, so they don't have to model the stuff later on? That happens all the time too.
that's never
I mean-
happened to you before, right?
Yeah, actually, yeah. I was working
When
on a
has
book.
it happened?
I've been on a book where they want all the assets and all the things I developed so they can hand it to the next artist, and I'm like, kiss my fucking ass. I made them in my room, so you don't own them.
Did they?
Did they hand? I never gave them this stuff.
No. Did they kiss your ass?
No. I'm irrelevant.
Jesus Christ.
So you want my opinion? I keep it honest. Yeah. Ashley, you have anything? Has anyone asked you about your graphic design prowess
No.
when you've gone to show them your art?
Nope. Although I haven't really shown my art that many times, like what you're talking about. Maybe not at all. So I don't know.
So, I don't know, man. The industry's weird. Speaking of conventions, though, I'd like to talk about a topic. So we all know, right, Mike? I used to go to these things called Wizard Worlds, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh fuck.
Right. And, and I have this famous story. I gotta prep for this one. I have this famous story I've told many times before. I'm gonna share y'all really quickly. I used to go to these Wizard Worlds. Now I knew Wizard World's kind of a piece of shit con, but they had about 20, 30,000 people would show up over a weekend. The average table cost for me was about $150. So, you split it two ways at $75 plus a hotel.
Not bad.
And hey, it was a great way to break in and kind of like start to show off your stuff in Artist Alley before it turned into the wall of fucking print nightmare situation it is today. That Wizard World started to do this thing around the time where you're like, they would never promote artists. They would promote the drummer from System of a Down. I don't know. WWE wrestlers. Triple H is going to be here. Virgil, a 30-year-old retired wrestler. Brandon Nathan Xander from Buffy. Just a lot of sort of B-level TV celebrity slash maybe they're fans of comics, like the System of the Down guy. And then they started jacking up the Artist Alley prices. Went from 150 to like 250 to 400. And then they canceled the Wizard World in LA, and then someone else took it over, and it really went to shit. So about that time, the guy running Wizard World somehow hit me up on Facebook. Steven Seamus? I don't know. Hit me up and said, hey, if you want to go to these Wizard Worlds, we'll give you a free ticket. I'm like, wow, will you fly me? Oh, no, you got to fly there. I'm like, I'm not flying nowhere. You got one in LA now. And I told him, I said, look, my problem is it feels like these things are catered towards celebrities rather than artists, so I don't really see the point because it was costing me so much money to go. No one was really there to buy anything other than get signatures from William Shatner. So this past weekend, I ran by this article that I retweeted. I'm going to bring it up here because I actually had some people send me a bunch of retweet my stuff, so it's going to take me a second here to dig this up. About Wizard World. Here we go. Let's bring this up. Wizard and the Seamus brothers. Oh, this person. That's their opinion. So, comic convention executive. This is from the New York Post, right? Comic convention executive raked in $1 million from stolen items. A comic convention marketing executive ranked $1 million for himself by stealing celebrity signed merchandise from his own company and then reselling it. Steven Seamus. Oh, that sounds familiar. Helps select celebrities for fan gatherings run by Wizard World, which pays to stars to show up and sign autographs for fans. Often negotiated money-losing deals for Wizard World in order to gain access to celebrities whom he would then have them sign stuff for him and he would sell on the side. So what they're saying is he's basically setting up these bullshit Wizard World cons that were never going to make money or anybody any money in order to get as many celebrities as he could there, like, Mark Hamill's and whomever, and then have them sign stuff for him. And then he would resell them. Now, why is this a big deal for me? I have said many times before, the Comic Cons of today are not the ones that I grew up with. Meaning, when I grew up going to Comic Con, San Diego Comic Con, it was always known as a nonprofit. The money that went toward tickets paid for artists and celebrities to show up so they would not charge for signatures. Because at the time, if you went to a convention of any sort, it was usually at a hotel, and everything costs a lot of money. You got, $50 for signatures, but they could jack up $300. And so no one would really want to go to these things because it just felt like this used swap meet kind of situation. So Comic-Con sort of set itself apart from saying you can't charge for signatures at these cons because it's nonprofit. All the money going to this is going. So when you get a booth at Comic-Con, it's going to help pay to bring in top tier talent, right? Top tier celebrities, artists, to get more fans to come out and then to go. And it's become what it is today, which is not really that anyhow. But these other cons really are a comic con. Like, I hate to fucking pun that, but I mean, around 2005, 6, 7, I could see it really going down, I got out 2009. It cost me $986 to go to this Wizard World Con, and it was like my last $900. I mean, and I was like, is it because I suck? Yeah, I can't sell even a fucking $1 draw. I was like, sketch is $1. There was no one there. There was no one there. They're not promoting them. But they have these celebrities. They're just sitting there, you know? And they were raising the prices for anyone to attend there. So I just stopped going altogether. I didn't go to another con until Tom took me to this one in 2010, but I didn't attend on my own until 2013, right, Brandon? Was that the first one we did together, 2013?
Yeah, it sounds. Excuse me. 2013. No,
So I stayed
no,
out for
no,
about 4 or 5 years.
It's probably 2013.
In terms of putting my own
Yeah.
money down to go to a con, I stopped doing
Yeah.
it. And even now, I only do one a year because for me, it's a break-even event, you know? And then to hear that, oh, this guy was just setting up cons to enrich himself, with a bunch of this signed merchandise. I wanted to tell you all, Mike, Ashley, you've all heard of the comic book crash in the 90s? You've heard of this?
No.
So it's called the
Vaguely.
speculators crash, right? So what happened was in the 80s, Mike, you might remember this. In the 80s, baseball cards were pretty big. Remember how there used to be a baseball
yeah.
card shop every fucking 5 feet? Baseball cards, everywhere. Well, there used to be like Overstreet Pricing Guide and Tops and Fleer and all these things, right? What happened to that? It was called a speculators market. Everyone said these baseball cards were going to be worth something someday, like they were when they were kids. Remember that baseball card you had in the 50s? If you still had it, it'd be worth a lot of money. So the companies like Overstreet, these other companies came out with these pricing guides that then inflated the value of these cards. The people that helped do that, not completely, but were part of that, were the Seamuses. Whole fucking thing. Their name is Seamus. They owned a series of collectible stores, collectibles stores, sporting stores, collectible sporting goods stores in Canada, right? And when that market crashed in the late 80s, early 90s, it sort of, because those cards really weren't fucking worth anything, and nobody was watching baseball in the late 90s, right, Mike? Like, there was no Yankees. No one gave a fuck about the Yankees. You didn't hear shit. It was on
Jose Canseco.
and that was a joke in the Turtles movie. Hey, Jose Canseco Pat told me. I didn't even know who that was, but I was like, it's funny. Tell me you didn't pay money for this. So, so that crashed. Now, what happened to those people? Those people went into comic books because apparently, and this is a story that was told. It's been written about. Todd McFarlane was friends with the Seamuses, so they put together a comic book magazine called Wizard. Right? And who was on the front cover? Todd McFarlane. So I love Todd, right? He was friends with these people, and these people put in the back of their magazine a pricing guide to let you know what all your comic books would be worth. And what started around 1991? This idea that if you started collecting comic books now and saved them, they'd be worth money someday. Right? And
Right. If you buy issue 1 or this limited edition,
Image happened. And who helped found Image? Todd McFarlane, right? So it's not like he conspired or anything. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that he was friends with these people and they had a magazine they published. And Wizard was the place to go to get collectible like art covers. There was no internet. And I went there and you'd see these pricing guides and you would think that this was worth a ton of money. Like, these books are all worth money. Superman died, issue 75, 300, it's worth $350, $375. Spawn's going to be worth, this. And every month you check the back of that and tell you what your comic book's worth. And then they started adding, then they got crazy. Then they had chromium covers and hologram covers, all these limited, you get a small gold foil, one for every 1,000, thing. And then by the mid-90s, the whole market just every major distributor, third-party comic book shop, like most of them all shut down by 2000 because they had all this inventory they couldn't move. Remember those bins, the endless bins of like extreme sacrifice? you know. It's called the speculators market. So I learned in high school what speculation means. It means that people come out and say this is going to be worth a lot of money someday because it's going to be worth a lot of money. It's called speculators, and then they sort of gamble on your dime how much, they go, this is going to be worth $75. So you pay $75 for it, and they take your money, and it's never going to be worth jack shit, and they leave. So I saw that happening to the housing market. When they told my father his house was worth like $500,000. And I was a piece of shit, man. I had no car. I'm like, this is not a $500,000 home. You know, like I told him to sell it. So that's what crashed the whole fucking, you know, comic book industry. Now Wizard Magazine folded, but they got into Wizard Worlds. So they sort of just moved from collectible sports cards to comic book collectible magazine, right? To Comic Cons, you know? And I kept thinking, what money could possibly be in a convention? And I got to be honest, folks, I'm not fucking Sherlock Holmes. So it never really dawned on me that they would be flipping, or someone there would be flipping signature stuff, right? But in the past few years, what have we seen? Mark Hamill, you know, has been raving about this on his Twitter about people bootlegging, you know, his shit. Like now California wants to enact a law that there has to be a special certificate anytime someone signs anything. How do you even do that? How do you even
Right.
do that, dude? Like, but this is why, you know.
It's just gonna have a thumbtack on it, and you just stick your finger every time and put a little dab of your blood on it.
So if you
and
think
it's
about
authentic.
it, so to be a little conspiratorial, so why not? Fuck it. And Mike, some of what you think about it. So let's say you got these conventions, and they're costing a bit of money, and you don't want them to come out of your company much, right? So you jack up the prices for artists to come in there, or whoever else to get a fucking booth, right? You keep raising those prices a little incrementally every year. The artists in those things are trying to find ways to get their money back. And like the only thing people are willing to buy are fucking pictures of Batman and Star Wars and shit they already know. They don't want my ideas. They want to buy whatever. So then they take away all the rules they used to have at these cons for displaying work like that because they don't give a fuck. They just want everyone to make their money so no one complains. While they're getting all their shit signed by a million celebrities that they flew in. They don't fly in artists, folks. Go read Eric Larson's Twitter. They don't fly him in. You know, he has to pay for himself. They fly in these. Why? Because Eric Larson's signature doesn't mean dick to the fucking super collectors. They want the Carrie Fishers. They want the fucking, you know, Tom Welling. You know, whatever. Captain Jack. Not Sparrow. Fucking Captain
So you're
Jack.
basically saying that their
Nathan
signatures.
Fillion.
No, man. You know, fucking Torchwood. Doctor Who. Squirrel Girl. Anyhow. Arrow.
So you're basically.
Merlin.
Can I say something?
John Scott Barrowman.
There you go. What were you saying, Ashley?
So you're basically saying they get to be flown in for free because their signatures pay for their airfare and all that.
Right, so they get to keep whatever they may earn there, but then these guys will be like, hey, wait here, can you sign this? Oh, yeah, I'll sign that. Can you sign this for me? Oh, yeah, sure, you know? And since they got comped everything, why wouldn't they sign a few things for these guys?
Mm-hmm.
But then these
Well,
guys,
they're
like this,
obviously they're not even probably saying, oh, hey, can you sign this? They're probably saying, hey, something with the con. Can you sign, 5 of these or 10 of these so that they at least get them in bulk? And like you said, being comped everything, they're probably like, oh yeah, no problem. Takes them 30 seconds, and then they turn around and sideload those for however much money after they told this famous person that obviously it's probably like, oh yeah, it's gonna be for something else when it's not.
like people have complained that Artist Alley looks like a giant print fucking swap meet, and it does. But all you have to do is fucking put up some rules. You can only display so much. Banners so high. You can only have so many. No images hanging off your table. You know what I mean? If you have a table banner that's an actual booth banner, fine, but no prints hanging off. Or maybe no table banner. It's going to be all black. I don't care. Come up with some decorum rules. But these things got to be some kind of weird money-making scheme somewhere. Michelle says Charlie Cox wanted $65 for a signature at Fan Expo in Toronto. I'm not against people charging signatures. What I have a problem with is when the convention also charges you $150 for 4 days, right? You can't charge $150 for convention space and then let everyone charge signatures. Like the
Right.
whole reason why San Diego Comic Con was more expensive than any other con was because when you went there, they weren't allowed to. And so what does that mean? That means these artists can be guaranteed that they're going to be paid. But these celebrities are going to be guaranteed that they're going to be paid. Maybe they can sell merchandise, but they can't sell for signatures. But it's all run amok now, man. I can't change it. I don't even have an opinion in terms of I have an opinion in terms of, I just think they should come up with some fucking basic rules. But I believe, for the longest time, that the Wizard Worlds especially were a complete fucking sham. And,
I agree.
right?
Like seriously, yeah. I mean, $1 million. If you're getting $1,000 a signature, how long is that going to take you to even get to $1 million? Like this has been going on for quite some time. If he got popped for $1 million,
Right.
that's just insane.
That's his own company, so it's not like, you know. So it's really a shame because what we really want is just a stable sort of, ecosphere where fans can go meet people they're fans of, celebrities, artists, cosplayers, whatever, and that it can sort of be equally spread around. That you have retailers have big booths, fan artists and pro artists and artist alley, creator alley, whatever you want. I think it would be called creator alley more than artist alley. I think that even that's a little unfair. Creators alley, and then maybe even the small press area, which used to be a separate thing, which actually involved published books or publishing your own books, would have sort of levels of displayability. So everyone's on an equal thing, right? And then, but the problem with that is that you're assuming that the leadership that puts these conventions together give a flying fuck, and I just don't believe they do on any level.
I don't think so either.
I know Brandon's friends with some of them, but I just when we're there at a con that we like, we go to Jimmy J's, right, at Amazing Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
He's a good dude. It's a good con. But how many times have we been there and an artist who sells children-friendly art is sitting next to porn people, and they don't even care, right? Or we had that situation.
I would. Well, here, listen. I wouldn't say they don't care. I think that's an unfair statement. I think it's when the people set up their things, right? Not saying the promoter, but let's say whoever does his table layouts, put stuff on, and you got Brandon James art next to Rob Duenas art. You don't know whether or not Brandon.
No, that's not untrue because when you fill out the paperwork to get a booth, it says, "Do you sell mature content?"
Okay. But it doesn't say, do you sell child-friendly content? I mean, what is...
You put the mature content next to each other in a certain area.
And if by chance, and I'm not defending this convention or them particular, I'm saying if that happens, which my friend who had that happen, she should have spoken up and just said, hey, do you mind moving me because my stuff doesn't bode well with this mature content? There seemed to be a mistake. When I've been put in a wrong spot that I shouldn't be at, I go to the person and I say, hey, I'm in the wrong spot. And they usually take care of it. If they don't, then at that point they are a dick. But
I've seen even that con not take care of certain things like that. I mean, who ran the con where the zombie guy just sat down on that chick's spot and said, "Fuck her, you're not even a real artist"? What con was that? Was that C2E2 or some shit like that, or Florida Expo or something?
Yeah, it was some Tampa. No, not Tampa. That's when you got your stuff swiped at.
Yeah. So the Jimmy J's are the amazing con in Vegas is probably the most that I've been to recently is the least corrupt. Like it's the most trying to do good. They didn't promote the fucking amazing one in January last year. That was a shit show. I don't give a fuck what they say.
And I'm not kissing Jimmy's ass. I tell him things. I say, you know what? He does a good job of bringing good comic book creators, people who have worked in the comic book industry. Like the one it sucks because the last Arizona one I did without me and you being, a table together, he had Todd McFarlane, Capullo, Eastman, Rob Liefeld, Mark Silvestri all there, but I don't think it was promoted well enough. And he knows the Arizona market for Comic Cons aren't that great, but I don't think he promoted it well enough. And I told him that. I said, hey, you do a better job promoting Vegas than you do this. And he knows it. But
one of the reasons why I do go to his is because he does promote that artists are going to be there.
Yeah.
Versus saying, fucking, we're going to have Ryan Reynolds, we're going to have Ryan Reynolds, or we're going to have Ryan Reynolds stunt double. The stunt double from Deadpool is going to be here, like
it's an actual Comic Con. It's not a pop culture con.
Yeah, and so Yadig69 Design in the chat room says most of the public don't know who the artists and writers are, and they don't give a fuck about them. Well, look, they don't know who artists are because it's a tough industry. It's a niche industry. It's going to be a niche industry. One of the things I used to do when I went to Comic-Con as a kid is I would discover artists there. These days, it's even easier to discover artists because of the internet. It was easier than when I was a kid. But the problem that you have now is people set up these crazy booths that block people from even seeing what's around them because they're just fucking crazy, guys. Like they're like Pixar. You ever hear how Pixar sets up their cubicles? Like they're able to build castles and fucking like when you work at Pixar, they make you like you turn your desk into like a fortress of wondertude. Like it's like a Toys R Us inverted, you know. Like you just gotta have a fort and a fucking magic castle and shit. So it's kind of like this giant fucking thing, you know, that just rises up with all the fan art, you know. And then you get these people that turn it into these chop shops where they're just tracing over people's shit and adding splatter effects and fucking putting up 16-foot tall banners, you know. That I'm sorry, I got fans that watch this show right now who set up those 12-foot, 16-foot tall banners because they're competing with the people around them for eyeballs. You know, I don't agree with it. I don't hate you. I don't think it's the artist's fault for that. You know, it's the convention. It's like trying to get mad at comic book fans, and it's like trying to get mad at the entire comic book industry for Twitter shitting on creators on Twitter. Right? It's not my fault. Go to Twitter. Why doesn't Twitter protect the people who are in its environment to create a safe ecosphere, a safe fucking area to hang out? Why does any woman have to worry about dudes sending dick pics to them on fucking Twitter? You know? You shouldn't go, comic fans are fucking misogynists. No, Twitter needs to fucking take care of that shit. But it behooves Twitter to have as many users as possible, because that's how Twitter makes its money. That's how Twitter's stock price goes up when they have more people using it. So they don't really give a flying fuck. You know? And it's sad. So what happens? They go, well, problem is Artist Alley's gone crazy, and it's all these licensed characters. They don't own them, and we should fucking tear it down. Here's the only people that should be able to do them are the artists that work on the books, even though they don't own the characters. As a matter of fact, they don't even own their art because it was paid for by Marvel and DC, whereas the fan artists actually own their art. It's fucking crazy, folks. It's madness. It's fucking madness. And it starts with these fucking conventions. And to see this guy getting hit for it, it's just one small little bit, you know, in the little cog in the fucking wheel. You know, so should you go to cons? I think as an artist, you should find a convention you can go to once a year if you can, or once every other year, if they let you stay in the rotation. The problem is they take you out the rotation if you don't buy back in, right, Brandon?
Correct.
So you go to this con, you fucking hustle your ass off. You make $500 profit. How much that booth cost? $450. So your fucking money goes right back into that booth. So what'd you do? You just took a really exhaustive fucking vacation. Maybe you had to take time off work to do it. You know? That's why I do this here. Like, people are wondering, like, I do get questions and everything. Rob, why do you stream and put up 7-hour-long videos? No one got time for that shit, yo. I'm not expecting you to watch 7 hours of this shit. I'm just hanging out. And for the 3 people out there who watch it go, how did Rob draw that one thing? I can go back in the video and watch it. But it's to hang out in a way that I used to sit there. Folks, when I had Comic-Con, I had no money. I'd maybe save up $30-40 a year to go to Comic-Con, drawing fucking $2, $3 sketches. You know, I'd sell a lot. I had a school of like 300, and you know, how many people can you sell $3 sketches to? So I would go there, and then I would just fucking hang out with artists in Artist Alley. And most of it was empty because those tables were reserved for pro artists that were given those tables. So if they showed up, you could hang out with them. And if they were really cool, like Tim Sale, they didn't want to fucking talk to you or me, you know. But I would just hang out with them. So this is an area to create that con-like experience for some people who, you know, I can reach out and make friends and fans with. That's why Mike's here, right? That's how I met Ashley. Brandon, unfortunately, I met him at a con, a Wizard World. So, you know, brought him back here.
The rest is history.
The rest is history. Anyone want to add to this? I've ranted quite a bit.
I have a question, because the only con I've been to is Comic-Con in Seattle, which is huge, and the Artist Alley there is massive. It's got to be like 20 or 30,000 square feet.
Brag much? Jeez.
I'm sorry. Really? I was distracted by Brandon. What's your question?
So I've only been to one con, and it was Comic-Con in Seattle, which is huge, and it didn't feel like there was really much rules there. Is each con have their own rules, or is it gotten to a point where
there's no committee for cons? There's no Comic-Con fucking union, you know?
Yeah. So
Mike, if you wanted to make a con right now, we just gotta go to the convention center and sign up for the space, and then go rent it. We can make a con right now, you know? It's definitely a con, you know? Tables are $800. You know what I mean? Like, you know, celebrities are required to sign everything for me, and they don't even show up. You know?
So they're not really setting setting up rules to, like you were talking about, to kind of make it even and fair. So if someone has a 20-foot tall banner, they can put it up
Yeah.
next to the guy that is
Well, there
like, hey,
used
this
to
is
be
my first time
rules,
here.
and
Let's
if
all count.
someone was sort of violent, people would go around, because what they would do is they'd make a run through the booth, because they had to go, they go check your tax information if you got your little reseller's permit. So when they would go
Yeah.
table to table to check to see if you have a reseller's permit, they just, in the morning, they just see who's got a crazy fucking banner that's breaking the rules. Used to be explicitly in the things. You can only have up to 9 feet, whatever, or 10 feet. Cannot display in reverse. So like my graphics are facing into this guy's booth or this chick's booth over here. Can't build erector sets around your fucking table. That's what, if you wanted something like that, you need to go get an exhibitor's booth where you can set up a whole station, because they're paying more money. And because Artist Alley was a way to promote artists, not to become Exhibitors Alley. And I don't even think it should be called Artist Alley. It should be called Creators Alley. So writers can go there. You can sell. They sell books, like the Looking Glass Wars guy is always there. He's dope. There's cosplayers who sell their stuff there. They sell their calendars or whatever they do. Their little books or photos or whatever. That's fine. Because it's evolved, but it doesn't have like an ethical baseline. And just decorum. Like, it's probably not a good idea that you have a billion fucking run amok pictures of Superman everywhere. Like, just keep the keep an even thing, so it's fandom. It's not fucking crazy time. There is a certain level of like, let's just keep it looking tasteful. So when someone is in Artist Alley looking back across the booth, they can look across and see stuff. They're not just being blasted by giant fucking. I mean, these booths now in Artist Alley are taller than the booths at Con when I first went there. They weren't that tall. DC didn't have a booth up there. They didn't start till '93. After the death of Superman, they put money into it, and they got that giant thing where the banners hang. But '91, '92, I mean, like that was just simple alleys and shit. Till Hollywood. Now Artist Alley is like Hollywood Con. It's crazy. Or
Oh,
the
man,
other.
they had so many displays that were like 15 feet tall.
Yeah, and they build like
It's huge everywhere.
Oh, it's crazy. Brandon, what was that one that was next to us at the Arizona Con?
Do you want me to say his name?
No. I'm talking about no, there was that family, and there was like 7. It was this Chinese family. The artist, she was dope, but it was her whole family that was just there pushing one of everything. They had one of every fucking thing you could imagine.
Where they have the cutout, and she just sat there at the cutout.
And the
in
booth
giant
extended a little out into the fucking walkway.
Yeah, it was a bit extreme. It was the most swap Marty thing I've ever seen. It was like you just walk up and you pick a number. You're like, I'll take a number 42 and a 53, and the wall was just around her like a giant wall. And there's this tiny little cutout at the bottom, and she's just sitting there, and you hand them out like a little slot, almost like a vending machine.
So I mean, and so then artists think they have to like draw one of everything. Well, if you don't have this, you don't have this. And now they're telling me when I go to con, Rob, Doctor Strange is coming out, so you gotta have your Doctor Strange prints, and you gotta have your Suicide Squad prints. Make sure you have your. I'm like, fuck all you people. You know what I mean? I'd just rather not go. Matter of fact, I'd rather just sit at the Starbucks across the street and draw sketches for $10. I'm at Comic Con drawing $10 sketches, sell them online. I don't know what to do. Like, and it's just artists trying to get noticed because there's no rules. They need basic, and they can go, well, Rob, you should just not be able to sell fan art. Great, then do it. But understand, too, that when Mark Bagley sells a $60 Kinko print of a cover that he drew, he didn't own that art either. I worked in licensing. If you want to sell pictures of art that Marvel owns from Marvel, and you're an employee of Marvel, freelance or full-time, however you work it out, you have to actually go through their licensing department. And they have an artist-specific person. I've spoken to her. She thinks I'm a piece of shit. Small change, right? Because she didn't like that an artist got a hold of her.
Don't say.
I shit you not. Who is this? Who are you? I'm like, who am I to call her? Surprisingly, the nicest guy there was the guy who distributes those posters for Walmart. So, it's a wild ride, folks. You'd be surprised where you can get if you just use a phone and start calling people. Joe called Dave Sim once, just right at his home. Creator service. Dave Sim, yeah? Hi.
you got time for another topic, or are we done, sir?
You got one more, Brandon?
It depends if you want to talk Doctor Strange.
We'll talk about that later.
All right, then.
Ashley's been really quiet.
Yeah, what's up, Ashley?
That wasn't aggressive at all. God damn, Mike's like, hey, fucking Ashley, why don't you talk?
I'm intimidated. Yeah.
I didn't say that at all. I said, what's up?
I don't know. I don't really have a lot of experience, so
will.
I don't really have a lot to add.
Well, you went to a convention last year and got stuck in a cat situation, right?
Cat. Oh, you mean that?
You
the
went for Attack on
thing?
Titan, and it was this weird cat
Yeah.
thing. That's
It
just
was
weird.
weird. It was like I mean, here I am, like, there's like this con full of teens, and they're like, so, would you ship these two characters together? Or would, what was it, Santa Titan and Dookie Titan ship together? I was like, what are you talking about? What the shipping? But anyway, yeah, that's my extent. No, but that was as a fan though. I haven't been as an artist. Like the only conventions, they're not even conventions. The only places I've been as an actual like artist selling things is like dubstep festivals. Basically EDM, not just dubstep. And so it's not quite the same.
That actually sounds like a really good idea, though.
It is sort of.
Yeah, I know. I imagine the earlier hours are probably easier, and then the later hours probably get a little hectic.
Yeah, you get all kinds of questions. Most of them not about your art or what you're selling, more about where can I find beer, where can I find the bathroom.
Good times.
Yeah.
Mike, you got anything you want to add?
No, I actually was. I've been looking at some Doctor Strange stuff before I see the movie on Wednesday. But if you want to talk about it later, we can talk about it later.
Yeah, after you see the
'Cause
movie,
I
we'll
definitely
come
wanna
back
talk
and do
about
a
that.
whole review thing or whatever.
I'm going to go see it again probably Tuesday. IMAX 3D, that's where it's at.
Cool. So we'll leave it on that.
Just go and see it again.
Sweet. So after Mike sees it, then we'll do a whole review. We'll talk about it, do a post wrap up or whatever. I don't even know review is the word for it. We'll do a chat, movie chat. All right, buddy. That's all we got for this week. I gotta get back to drawing Batman. I'll get back to that question later, Sufane. Brandon, where can people find you on the internet?
You can find me on all the interwebs, Lead Heavy. So find me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, all the above at Lead Heavy, Lead Heavy.
And Ashley, where can people bug you about fan art?
Maybe not fan art, but anyway, you can
And
find
EDM.
me.
Yeah, EDM. What about EDM shows?
You can find me on Instagram as Gang Feather, drawing provocative things.
Mike and Underoos. No, that's your new name, Mike and Underoos. Mike, where can
Okay,
people find your whatever you do on the internet?
Just on DeviantArt.
Sweet.
BeGoodFinger.deviantart.com.
And as always, folks, want to say thank you to Sufane, Crusher Jr., Hector. Who else we got in here? Yeah, they came in. Mike was in there.
Plumber.
Michelle was in there.
Mike Mullins.
Yeah, Kyle showed up for a little bit. So, all right, everybody. Thanks for hanging out. We will be back very, very soon. Actually, this week we got a gaming cast at the end of the week, so be there for that. Got to talk about some BlizzCon, motherfuckers. We're going to talk about all that stuff. So, Underroo Mike. All right. That's going to be a thing. All right. Talk to you later. Say bye.
It probably is, yeah.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Brandon's going to defend the cons.